Hello and welcome back to Void Dreaming. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after finding out that Anwill may or may not be an android, a simulant, something new. There is evidence pointing to the fact that he may or may not be, and Bromka, for his part, seems to believe that Anwill is not a simulant, but he also seems to be a little confused too as to if he may or may not, and sort of doubts himself a little bit too about the whole situation. The fact that he may have missed something, or just the whole uncertainty of the whole situation. The captain, for his part, while doesn't believe that Anwill is a simulant for the most part, he also doesn't fully believe Anwill still. He does like the fact that you are being nice to Anwill, and I'm only doing that for brownie points. I really don't care for Anwill. As I said before, if I could, I would space him. I'm pretty sure that Kalia would be so happy with that. But yeah. And for my part, personally, like I said, space him. But whether or not he's a simulant, I hesitate to say that he is now, but I fully believe that he isn't completely flesh and blood, that there is more to Anwill than meets the eye. Whether or not that means that he is a simulant, or maybe like some sort of hybrid type thing where he is or started as a fully flesh and blood person that turned into a simulant or something, I don't know yet. We'll eventually find that out, I suppose. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Anyway, so without further ado, let us continue. Ew. Day 6. Inflection. Let go. Ew. Food helps. You wonder why you haven't realized the simple truth earlier. Maybe it's taken the circumstances that led you here and the nature of the dream or circumstance on top of that to make you realize. As you sit there, sipping kaf and nibbling on the synth meat Oba presented you, you have a precious moment to just stop, to brace yourself for the day ahead. It doesn't feel like one if you're honest. You haven't been to sleep. You're not waking up to the start of the day. It feels like you're running at night shift despite being on first. You do feel glad? Is that the word? After all the craziness of what happened yesterday and the new danger that you and the ship are in, you're glad that you're up for the first shift of the day, to maybe take at least a little control. Something on your mind? You blink and glance up at the ceiling. What do you mean? You've stopped eating. Oh, you look down at your plate. It's still mostly full and the mug of kaf is steaming in your paw. You'd fallen too far into thought. So much for food helping. I'm just wondering what's next. Don't suppose that you've got any insight? I have insight into everything, Stray. My powers of deduction and reasoning extend beyond the confines of your feeble little meat brain. But if you're asking about the future, I've got no better idea than you. I guess I should stop overestimating you. Only at your own peril, Stray. Only at your own peril. You smirk as you take a bite of another meat cube and chew thoughtfully on it. Strange that Oba wouldn't know what Zuberi's planning for the day. Or maybe not. Maybe she knows and she's just not supposed to tell you. Maybe the presence of this pirate captain in the mix just has him playing his cards close to his chest. You don't think that you could blame him for that? Captain hasn't shared anything about his plans with you? No more than he's shared with the rest of the crew. I'm just the brains of this precious little ship. What possible use could I be in fulfilling his goals? I would have thought that he'd loop you in, at the least. Not just toying with me, are you? Oh, Stray. I thought you'd have figured me out by now. I'm always toying with you. You smirk, shrugging as you eat a little more of your meal in relative silence. There's not much that you can really say to that, after all. Oba's obfuscation doesn't help you plan out a course of action, though. How can you, when you not only lack information, but don't even know how much information you'll lack? Your whole team kept each other appraised on the projects that they were working. It was the only reason that you could work so effectively together. You could sure use some teamwork right about now. You sigh and push those thoughts from your mind. They won't help you now. Today or in the future, you need to focus on the issues of the here and now. You polish off your plate and drain the mug in short order. Now that you're more practically focused, by the end you at least have a full stomach. That much feels good. The food helped after all. Oba is thanked as you swiftly adjust your uniform and brush aside any crumbs that may have errantly stuck to the fabric. Oba's voice returns a moment after you finish.
Ready early, are you?
Am I? You reach for your reader to check the time, but Oba's faster.
This qualifies as quick as you can in the captain's mind. You're fine.
Well, that's definitely good to know. You nod and turn as the door slides open. Good to know. Thanks, Oba. Again, she doesn't respond. Odd. She has the processing capability to hold a conversation with everyone aboard the ship simultaneously while still attending her duties. What could have Oba so distracted? You step out into the corridor with no answer to the question, and it turns out that you're not alone. You're more than a little surprised to see Anwill out of his quarters, making his way towards you. Good morning, Rail. You tilt your head. Would morning be right? You've been thrown just enough by the side of the Martin to be entirely sure. Hey, Anwill, how are you doing? His expression brightens at least a little. Thank you for asking how I am, not what I'm doing. To be fair, that was my next question. And it's a fair one. I guess we've both been summoned by the captain. You're heading to the bridge too? You nod. It makes sense on some level, you guess. Why not let him out, as long as you're keeping an eye on him? You thought that he'd heard enough yesterday. Maybe you thought wrong. Yeah, I've got a work shift. Anwill nods as he falls into step beside you. I wish that I had a work shift. I feel useless. You're not useless. This is just the situation you're in. I can't be trusted enough to be given a role aboard the ship, hence all I can do is sit around and suck up everyone's valuable oxygen. You know what you could do to remedy that? I'm pretty sure the scrubbers and cycler can handle that. That at least earns a smile from the Martin. Rail? You pause as you reach the door and turn towards Anwill. He's frowning, not meeting your gaze. I just wanted to say thank you, again, for your kindness yesterday. It would have been easy to not have been so kind, given the circumstances, and you still were kind. It means a lot to me. I just wanted you to know that. You can only shake your head. You don't need to thank me. Says you, I say otherwise, so thank you. Well, it looks like you can't just brush it off after all. You're welcome. But seriously, don't worry about it. He nods, smiling again. Regardless of what's behind the door to the bridge, at least he's perked up a bit here. You wave to the door as it recedes to allow you in. After you. Anwill hesitates, but nods and steps in ahead of you. The sight of Zuberi out of uniform actually causes you to misstep, almost bumping into Anwill as he similarly stumbles. Suddenly you feel overdressed and frown. Should Oba have told me to dress more casually? No, you're fine. This doesn't have anything to do with you. His eyes turn to Anwill and he nods once. Now, Oba probably didn't tell either of you why you're here. She only said that you wanted me to join you on the shift. The whole shift? You perk an ear and watch Zuberi turn back to you. You catch sight of the navcom out of the corner of your eye. Tolmany's already fully integrated. I didn't cover everything that I wanted to earlier. I thought on our shift today that we could touch on some things that we didn't in the commissary. You cannot but wonder what exactly he didn't bring up, but at least you won't have far to go to assuage your curiosity. Mind if I ask the obvious question? Zuberi cocks his head. Maybe it's not so obvious. He nods after a moment. We still have shifts? For the moment. The ship still has a job to do, Rail. I'm not committed yet to abandoning it just because there's pirates looking for us. You can't imagine Kalia's too happy about that, especially since you'd be in trouble if the tour was dropped. If it's because of me, you shouldn't stick to the tour's plan. It's not because of you. We're already way off our plan as it stands. We're well behind where we should be, and we're probably past the fringe. The tour's already off to an awful start. I'm sorry. You didn't ask for us to pick you up. It's still my fault. Zuberi sighs. It's nice to know that Anwill's continued self-abasement irritates more than just you. It's more than that. Any reasonable captain would turn his ship around and send it right back to the other side of the fringe. Dive back to civilization. I'm counting on Lita thinking that I'll do the reasonable thing and not keep going as if nothing happened. It's not something that she'd predict. You frown and glance at Anwill. Didn't she say that she had a way to track Anwill? The Martin shudders as Zuberi nods. If she's got a method of tracking him, we need to know its limitations. I've got Oba running internal scan protocols to detect anything that might give away our location. That might explain the simulant's relative quietness earlier. So by continuing on, we can see what we're dealing with. If she can't track him, then we can probably just jump halfway to the galactic edge without trouble. Just gotta muss our warp sig enough. And if she can track him, we'll be ready for her. I'm sure she'll shoot first next time, but as long as our sensors are prime, we should be ready for her. Anwill tentatively raises a paw, and Zuberi frowns at him until he lowers it again. Forgive me if it seems a stupid question, but didn't her frigate evade your sensors? You think back and nod to yourself after a moment. Anwill's not wrong. The alert from Oba came with the ship already en route, well within sensor range. Zuberi at least just shakes his head. He doesn't seem bothered by this. It's not stupid. We'll be on the bridge here, or Kalia and Brahm will be. If she's lurking behind some mass shadow and keeping our sensors from picking her up, we should still spot her before weapons range. And when the shifts are done? Then we jump back into warp space. A nice, long, slow, safe jump out of the reach of any ship. He glances behind you, and you turn to see Miz has stepped onto the bridge. The cheetah's eyes fall immediately on Anwill. He steps back as the door slides closed once more, and you hear Zuberi sigh. He doesn't get out of it that easy, Oba. The door opens once more, and there's Miz again. The cheetah looks less pleased than before. And here I thought that I wouldn't have to train my own replacement. Anwill better not be settling in to take my place, or I'll be more than slightly irked. Anwill's not here to replace anyone. And are we certain that we want him on our bridge? My bridge, Miz, and I am certain of what I want. The cheetah sniffs, but nods, and makes his way over to his seat. Rail, please take a seat at the weapons console. You follow Miz's example, silently making your way over and sitting down. You cannot but turn as Anwill also walks over, standing between Zuberi's command chair and the Helm Master Station. Sensor station protocols have already been ported over to your console, along with basic nav data, by the looks of it. We should have a few minutes before we revert. Time enough for a little chat. Oh, wonderful. You don't have to be involved. Oh, wonderful. But if you're not going to be involved, keep the smart remarks to yourself. Just for a while, please. Oh, wonderful. Miz shoots you a glare that's completely undercut by a smirk. Anwill. The Martin has also started to smile, but the sound of his name snaps it immediately. I want to know everything about your flight from the Fangs. I want timing, I want course details, and I want you to help Rail build up as close a simulation of everything as you can. Anwill looks your way before shaking his head at Zuberi. Of course, but why? A few reasons. First, so that I can see if there is a pattern of behavior, something that might have given you away, that Lita could say that she's using to track you. Make herself seem more dangerous than she is. Second, so that I can see what mistakes you made and try to avoid them ourselves. And finally, so that we can have a picture of what we're up against for the next time that she crosses our course. Miss scoffs at his station, but manages to avoid any of those pre-warmed smart remarks. The self-control he's expressing presently must be practically painful for him. I don't know what anything more that I can tell you would be helpful, sir. And why is that? Because I've said everything already. I don't know how knowing any of my plans is going to help you avoid them. My plans failed. You don't want them. How about you let me worry about what plans we do or do not have? I'm talking about information. Is there a reason why you not want us to avoid the pirates? No, sir. None that I can think of. That's an odd question to ask. You wouldn't have thought that there'd be anything good about being captured for Anwill. What's Zuberi hoping to get at? Whatever it is, the grind of the older wolf's teeth implies that he's not getting it. So I need information, as much as I can get. For example, where were you when the pirates first locked your SIG? You watch Anwill hesitate, but he straightens up after a moment. Sorry, sir. I just discharged my reactor and was getting ready to make a jump to Yakshi, last stop before going past the fringe. Summer, sirs. What? Just 70 light years from Yakshi? 74. I could have gone further, but like I said, one last stop to make sure that I was ready before going. Well, further. Stupid. I was so stupid. He really was. There's no getting around it. There's no way that the A-Tripper could have made the journey Anwill was hoping. But you didn't get to Yakshi. No, I was on my way to my jump point when they dropped out on me. How close? You watch the Martin frown and glance aside again for a second. When he straightens up once more, it's with a sigh. There were 10 clicks out from me when they dropped out of warp space. You freeze in place. Miz recoils in his seat. Even Zuberi clearly is trying to hide it, is focused in hard on the Martin now. Anwill just looks around at everyone in turn before he shrugs. I know how it sounds. It sounds insane. Space is big. That's literally astronomically good luck on their part. You turn to Zuberi, but the captain's frowning. The Port Authority's supervisor. You frown, then your eyes widen with understanding. He'd just spoken about it in the commissary. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. If the Fangs were contracted to grab Anwill, then maybe BSS. If it is BSS, of course. Both Anwill and Zuberi look unhappy with Miz's interjection, and the cheetah shrugs. Oh, pardon me for trying to keep the conspiracy theorizing to a minimum, as you were, gentles. So if whoever was, whomever, the look Zuberi shoots Miz wouldn't have looked out of place on Kalia. The cheetah shrinks back for a moment. If whoever was after the information sent the Fangs after Anwill, they might have also given their new pet pirates a general location. And then what? Shake down another criminal? Honor amongst thieves? Oh, perish the thought. If they got it with a shipjack and took an engineering scan, they'd probably have been able to track that A-Tripper to the click. Anwill's nodding along, though he looks a little embarrassed as his gaze drops to the deck. There was a weird sensor bounce. A couple, actually. Once in Soramsur and once before that while cooling my drive in Kevron's outer orbits. That would have been them blocking your SIG. ASF ships do the same when they're hunting. Probably calculated from where you are exactly, how you got there from where you started, and then use that to predict where you'd go next. Tight beam you from there to minimize that sensor bounce and confirm the location. And then they lay in wait nearby for me. Perfect. They probably didn't even need to. They could outrun your A-Tripper easily, jump further and faster than anything that you could have managed. You hear a chime from Mrs. Console, and the cheetah looks up from it a moment later. Reversion in 10 seconds. Perfect timing. You look forward and through the swirling fields of colors beyond the hull of the dreamer, counting down in your head. You wince from the flash of light that comes with the collapse of the warp envelope. The dreamer has re-entered reality. Well, reality as you can directly perceive it anyway. Miss? You glance down at your console. The cheetah's already running the sensors in a full sweep of the system. He remains silent while it runs. When the sweep finishes, you see him relax in his chair again. No ship signatures within the system. Single star, 3 planetary bodies, 14 satellites between them. Unless someone's lurking in a mass shadow, I think that we're in the clear. For now. The cheetah's scowl could almost mirror your own as you look towards Anwill. His eyes flick to you. I'm sorry. You're not wrong, I guess. He's not. So I want you keeping an eye on the long-range sensors, just in case anything drifts into range. Of course. You do perk an ear as Zuberi turns his chair to face Anwill more fully. His fingers dance across the controls on his armrest, and you feel the thrum of the sublight thrusters powering up. It looks like he's taking you into the system. Just another day scanning worlds and warp lines. Sedate, boring, normal. That doesn't mean that it feels anything remotely close to sedate, boring, or normal. What happened next, Anwill? The Martin's eyes turn back to Zuberi, and he nods for Anwill to keep going. I mean, pretty much what you would expected. They launched the gunships. They didn't fire on you from the frigate? The question leaves your muzzle before you can stop it, and Will shakes his head as he looks to you. No, not that they'd need to. And not if they wanted you intact. That thing could have shredded your A-Tripper. The gunships were what attacked me. I still took scans of the frigate, but I made for the jump point immediately. I think I almost lost shields before I made it there. The warp envelope was barely stable. Still, I made the jump out. To Yakshi? Anwill shakes his head and sighs. I figured that they have my trajectory lined up. I nudged myself about a dozen lights off my course. I found myself reverting in interstellar space. That probably saved him from being captured in short order. If Zuberi's right and the pirates were running their sensors tight-beamed to minimize the chance of Anwill detecting it, that drift would more than do it. But I guess I panicked. I didn't think that I was safe where I was, so I made another jump a few minutes later. I lost my nerve. I found myself right past the frigate then, and well off my original course. By then, my warp core was throwing up a lot of warnings. You corroded your extrusion arrays. You were burning out the envelope projectors in your shield emitters. Anwill sighs as he shrugs. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. A distress call would have probably brought worse than just them right to me. Not that Gelsek would be all too inclined to show up, even if you did. The only thing that you did wrong as far as I can tell is jumping too quick. You weren't ready when they caught up to you again? The Martin nods. You glance over at Miz, but the cheetah seems to have tuned the conversation out entirely. He's focused completely on his work. It's actually somewhat impressive. They found me again about an hour later. Given the damage, I wasn't really ready to jump, but I made another 2 in rapid succession to try and throw them off. The casual anchor couldn't compensate and I dumped the warp core. I went into total shutdown. When they arrived again, there was nothing that I could do. I set the ship on an automatic evasive course and tried to spark the warp core again. You wouldn't have been able to. Anwill looks confused, but you know what Zuberi is talking about. Why not? I couldn't figure it out before they boarded me. Total shutdown means that the safety protocols kicked in. If you somehow force the core to activate, you'd probably have blown the ship. It's a damn good thing that you didn't manage to get the core going. There wouldn't have been anything to find when we got there but a thermal anomaly and localized warp space distortions. Anwill shudders, nodding as he stares down at the deck for a few long moments. He probably never knew that he was so close to ending his own life. What happened when they boarded? If they do the same, I'd like to know what I'm up against. You see Anwill shudder. He squeezes his arms tightly as he looks out briefly to the stars. A pang of sympathy rushes through you. This can't be easy for him to recount. One of the gunships burned the ventral airlock after they took out my drives, stabilized my trajectory before they boarded. I opened the bridge access and went a little ways down. I thought that I could talk to them, figure out what I could do, what I could give them. There were 3 of them, big. I couldn't give you species, but they were all bigger than me, suited up and armed. What kind of weapons? Blasters. Of course, you hear Zuberi sigh under his breath. I meant what kind. Do you know? The Martin just shakes his head as he closes his eyes. Whatever Anwill is, he's not a fighter. The biggest had something bigger than any blaster that I've ever seen. The smallest had a rifle of some kind. So the other one. And one of those rifles is the one that hit you in the back? Anwill again shudders. If the big one had hit me, I wouldn't be here now. They didn't even wait. Didn't say a word. They just fired as soon as they saw me. Zuberi's nodding along as he listens. This certainly explains the blaster damage that you saw all through Anwill's ship. I thought that I made it. Opened the bridge door. Thought that I was through. That's when they hit me. I got the door closed before they made it inside, powered the mag locks, put it on full lockdown. He sighs and shakes his head. Then I saw them on the feeds. They ignored me after a moment and headed down to the engineering bay. One sabotaged the life support. And it wasn't great to start with. No. Anwill takes a deep breath before he continues. I lost the feeds in the engineering bay when they breached it. I guess they did something pretty nasty in there though. I lost control of almost every system all at once. Then they left. You frown. Zuberi's leaned back in his chair, arms folded as he listens to this. You wish that he could see into the captain's mind to whatever he's making of these events. Or, for a matter, to see if he's getting the answers that he's looking for. Well, we know what they did at least. Setting the overload of your ship and burning right out of there. They didn't come for you again? Make a last punch? If they could get through the engineering bay doors, why not the bridge? Anwill's shaking his head before Zuberi can even finish asking the question. I wondered too. I figured that they just didn't have time. This time, Zuberi glances at you. You shrug back at him. There weren't any other ships on the sensors when we were on approach. They had to have left you there for a good long while. Anwill favors you with a nod. Once I knew that they were gone, I left the bridge. I tried to at least get the life support working. Maybe comms. But that time there was nothing that I could do, and the ship's atmosphere was... Anwill clears his throat and sighs again. I made it back to the bridge, locked it down again in case they came back, and I was going to try to reignite the main reactor, but I passed out before I could even get anything done. And I guess that's where you found me. The whole story. Well, that whole part of the story anyway. It's nice to finally hear from him what the attack looked like from his side. But I don't think that that's going to help you all that much, Captain. The circumstances were different then. Zuberi rubs his chin as he studies the Martin. At least if Lida's right. If she is, then those pirates didn't know what they were really after. Sure they weren't. Eyes zero in on Miz again as the cheetah looks up from his console. What? It's true. This apparently incredibly valuable bounty, and they leave him to die? As I've said, I believe that they were after me for the data Chef reset me. If they thought that the data was with me and destroying it was their mission, it makes more sense. Then why Lita? Why this whole new pirate coming along to make our lives miserable? By her own word, she took over the chase when the last person failed. And why the simulant angle, honestly? His tone wouldn't be out of place with someone arguing about the narrative of the latest entertainment on the Hollow. I've got 2 theories. Your ears perk. You aren't sure that you have any theories of your own yet, so Zuberi having 2 is definitely welcome. The first is that Lita was telling the truth, that you, Anwill, are some kind of new simulant. The Martin stiffens at the sound of those words. Zuberi's eyes twitch as his ears fold back. I didn't say that I believed it. Sorry, it's a hard thing to consider. I know who I am. But perhaps not what you are. Ms. The cheetah gives an exaggerated sigh and a roll of his eyes before he turns back to his console. Zuberi refocuses attention on Anwill. The second theory is that this is all about whatever your sister sent you. I still don't know what it is. And they, BSS, or whoever sent the fangs after you, do. At first they just wanted the information controlled, eradicated, with as little trace as possible. You nod along. That would explain perhaps why the White Fangs overloaded the sublight array rather than just blowing the ship. Less chance of them being even remotely implicated. So why the change in behavior? Zuberi's arms and ears both splay out to the sides. No idea. But if whatever is in your head is something that they can't replicate, maybe the word came down from on high that they need to take you alive. Anwill shudders with disgust, and maybe from his grimace a little fear as well. I don't think that I like the sound of that. I'd rather think that you shouldn't. But at the least, it explains why the change in goal, and in tactics. Who knows, maybe the simulant accusations just to make sure that the Fangs don't damage you too badly. How kind of them. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't beat him to within a hair of his life. Zuberi nods, shrugging easily. Anwill for his part still looks mortified. True, but they'd minimize their damage. Can't risk giving back damaged goods, can they? At this point, that's what I'd put my creds on. And unfortunately, that sounds far too plausible a situation than anything else that you could have dreamed up. Certainly, it's the first time that this has seemed like it might all make sense. So, what now? Is that what you were hoping to hear, Captain? You know, it was. Anwill blinks. It's nice that you're not the one being surprised for a change. It is? Yeah, you gave me what I wanted. I know what I'm expecting now, and I think that I've got an idea of what's driving the forces against you. Against me? Against us. This has nothing to do with feeling like you're a part of my crew, Anwill. But anyone willing to go to this much trouble to go after you won't have any issues blowing us out of the sky to get to you. We're all up to our necks in it now. Our gratitude overflows. Zuberi's eyes roll as Anwill winces. I'm sorry. I don't know how many more times I can say it. A few more times might do it. Ms., if you don't stop, I'm going to have to remove you from my bridge. Last warning. Your eyebrows lift. Zuberi's hackles are up, and Ms. won't meet his gaze. Looks like the cheetah's pushed things as far as he dares. Apologies, sir. Anwill. No, apologize to him properly. That certainly causes Ms. to bristle, but he nevertheless turns to face the Martin, and while by contrast won't even look his way. I beg your pardon. I was out of line, and you have evidently been through too much to warrant much snark from one such as I. Despite the forced eloquence of his words and making you feel like they'd sound better coming out of his aloe berry character, his tone at least sounds sincere to your ears. It at least lifts Anwill's head, and the Martin regards him for a moment before he nods. Thank you, and I'm sorry again. I know that I can't ever make up for putting you and the rest of this crew in danger. Please believe me when I say that I will do anything in my power to keep you all safe. I couldn't live with myself if I caused any of you harm on my account." Miz's eyes flick to Zuberi for a moment, and you see the older wolf's eyes narrow quickly. Not quickly enough. You can't make that promise, you know. "Miz?" "No, he's right, sir. With all respect, he is right. I just don't know how to do more, how to help, and after all that you've done for me, I should help." Now his eyes flick to you, only to drop away again. "I'm dead weight, worse than that even. I'm a great big target painted all across your hole." "I don't feel that way." "With respect, I do. And I can't help that. That's on you. But right now, you need help. That much is on us, on me." He sits up in his chair and you swivel in yours to bring the captain more fully into your field of view. "I've been checking our tour plan, the systems that we're meant to be hitting up." Anwill recoils in surprise. "You're going where I—" "No." The Martin deflates again and Zuberi holds up a paw. "The coordinates you gave, they're not on our original route, not even close. But they're not too far off the route either. Some careful jumps and some good luck, and we'll maybe be able to swing by." Miz frowns even as Anwill's muzzle slowly spreads in a smile. "Permission to ask a stupid question that may make you quite cross?" "Permission to stupid granted." Miz's quarry catches in his throat at that, and he frowns deeper for a second before he composes himself again. "Kalia rather won't like that, you know." "That's not a stupid question." "It's not even a question." "I mean to say, has she been consulted? No disrespect is intended, of course, but the ship operates quite better when the two of you are reading the same scan." "Oh, that's a fair point." You look Zuberi's way to find the captain shaking his head. "I hadn't made the decision before now. Now that I have, I'll let her know when she relieves us. She can like it or not, but she'll accept it." "Oh yes, very good." "May I be excused well before she arrives on the bridge then? I should quite like to escape the blast radius." Zuberi simply stares at Miz as Anwill winces. Your muzzle curls as you try to stifle a smile. "Forgetting something, Miz?" The captain nods down at Miz's console. As you follow his eyes, you can see blinking for attention. Yes, I apologize, sir. We're coming into range of the first planetary body in the system." Zuberi rolls his eyes as he shakes his head, but now that Miz is turned away from him, you can see that the captain is smiling. "Thank you. Get on that well rail, take some warp space distortion readings." "You're still paying attention, right, Rail?" You turn quickly back to your own console while you clear your throat. "I absolutely am." You absolutely were not, and he knows it. "And once you're done with that, I want you and Anwill to work up that simulation that we talked about. I'll walk you through what you need from the Dreamer." "Yippee." "You still want the simulation? I already gave you all the information." "I know, but it'll help me if I can visualize it." "Humor an old wolf, will you? Please." "You're not that old." Zuberi shrugs, clearly not swayed by the compliment. "It'll help me. If that's not enough, it's an order for Rail. You don't want him getting in trouble, do you?" Anwill looks over at you with a soft smile. "Not if I can help it, no. Of course, I'm happy to help." "Glad to hear it." You return the Martin smile as he makes his way over. Anwill wasn't kidding when he said that he'd shared most everything that he knows. As you spend most of the rest of the shift with him and Oba to build Zuberi's simulation, there's little to add. Still, you find yourself with a much better insight into what happened to him now that you can see the whole thing effectively play itself out in real time. It even distracts Miz when Zuberi watches the simulation play for the first time. The cheetah can't help but watch as well. Zuberi doesn't seem pleased by what he sees, but whether that's an indictment of Anwill's capabilities as a spacer or by the efficiency of the pirate forces, you just aren't sure. At least the shift goes off without any issues. No pirates, 3 scan systems, and a full simulation of Anwill's presumed failings. You can't really ask for better. As things are winding down and Zuberi is directing the Dreamer to the edge of the system and your jump point, he turns to finally look at Anwill again. The Martin's been sitting down at the comm station, the console completely powered down of course, during the shift after his contributions ended. He has looked incredibly bored for the last hour. I think that's going to be all that we need from you for now, Anwill. He looks up at the mention of his name. It seems like he's mentally checked out of the situation. I'm sorry? You don't need to stay here. You can go back to your quarters now. Oh. Yes, thank you. He stands all too quickly. You can only imagine how eager he is to leave. You're looking forward to the same yourself. I guess if you need anything else, you'll know where to find me. I'm still going to be locked in, right? Right. Yeah, right. Anwill deflates with the revelation, but he nonetheless nods to Zuberi. I understand. I know, and I appreciate that. Anwill nods and turns towards you as the door opens. I hope you have a pleasant day, Rail. Yeah, thanks. You too. As much as you can anyway. I'll try. It's really all I can do. He nods again as he turns and makes his way off the bridge. You, Miz, and Zuberi watch him go in silence. It's the captain who breaks the silence first. We're coming up on the jump point. Everyone ready? You turn back to your console and quickly check your displays. Everything seems set for the jump. I am. Me too. Alright. Charging the warp core. Your eyes lift to the view outside as that familiar thrumming runs through the ship and then you're in warp space again. Once more you check your systems, but there is no sign of any irregularities. Everything is running just fine. Good jump. From the way things seem to be reading here. I'll back that up too. Envelope steady, sensors aren't picking up any issues. That's what I like to hear. Now the both of you should clear out. You blink and exchange a look with Miz. The cheetah seems equally confused until Zuberi chuckles. Unless you want to be here when I tell Kalia the plan, and that I intend to let Anwill out of his cage. You blink and then smile. That's nice of him. I'm sure he's really going to appreciate that. I can't see a reason to keep him locked up in his quarters, not with all that's happened. I'm quite certain Kalia would disagree. This isn't Kalia's decision, it's mine, and it's made. Now I suggest that both of you hit the pad, or at the very least get out of here before Kalia shows up. Oh, that's a damn good point. You watch as Miz scrambles out of his seat all but immediately. Then I wish you good luck, and as painless a death as she is willing to give you. With that, he turns and hurries off the bridge. Rather than looking irritated, Zuberi just smirks to himself as he turns to you. And you? Think I'm about to be torn to pieces by a vengeful vixen? I definitely don't think your odds against are as good as they would be without this decision. He chuckles and nods, but his smile fades as he notices you're not moved out. You really don't think this is a bad move? You frown as you think about it for a moment. You don't want to give a blanket, unconsidered response after all. I think you're right, for what it's worth. I don't think Anwill's a direct threat. The threat is in his presence and we can't do much about that. I mean, we could. Could pass him over to them. Could also space ourselves right now if we wanted. Doesn't mean that we will. He smirks and nods. Your ship, your call. I think the Fangs are the threat here, not Anwill himself. That's what I think too. The captain sighs and leans back in his chair, waving a paw towards the still open door. Go on, go get some sleep. I know you need it. Besides, Brahm's got some medical evaluations to do today. You'll want to be rested in case that he needs you for some reason. You nod. The change in your shifts has been a lot lately after all. On that note, Just about that. Not the medical thing, the other thing. You said that you'd be changing up my shifts, keeping me rotating around. Does that mean that tomorrow I'm on second with Kalia? Zuberi taps at his chin and folds his arms as he regards you. I don't know yet. Do you want to be? As much as I like Zuberi, and I really like Zuberi, maybe I could go with Brahm? But as much as I like Brahm, I haven't been spending enough time with this guy. So I'm gonna stay with Zuberi. I think that I'd rather take first again. It'd be nice to settle into an actual routine here. Zuberi snorts and rolls his eyes. Yeah, like this tour's had anything even remotely close to a routine for you. At the very least, I'll try to make sure that the next tour's not such a pain in the tail. We've still got to get through to this tour before we start thinking about the next one. True, and we'll never get through this one if you don't get some sleep. His smile is soft as he waves again towards the door. So dust off my bridge. You chuckle, closing down your console and nodding. You stand and throw him a sharp salute. Zuberi rolls his eyes, laughing quietly as you head out. At least the corridor outside is empty. Kalia's clearly not out yet, given your reader hasn't even alerted you to the shift ending yet. You can only guess Zuberi cut the shift short. Given how little you imagine Kalia's going to be happy about what she'll walk into, it's probably the right call. The light of the warp space is cut off as the bridge door closes itself up again. You yawn as you reach your own door, only to pause and look up. Anwill is there. You'd missed him a moment ago. Was he waiting for you? Are you alright? I think so. I don't know. He frowns and looks around himself before focusing in on you again. Something's wrong. Now you're the one frowning. You turn away from your door to focus on the Martin. Do we need to get Bromka? No, it's not that. Not physical. Do you ever just feel like something's wrong? Like you're right on the edge of everything falling apart? More times than you can count at this point. Everything feels that way sometimes, Anwill. Not like this. The last time that I felt like this was just after I left Raikouma. The time before was the morning of the day Sheffrey called me for the last time. Whenever I feel like this, something bad's coming. The fur on the back of your neck stands on end, and you clap a paw down on it. I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't trust your instincts, but if nothing else, you're safe here. The captain's seen to that, right? Anwill looks between your eyes, like he's looking for something there that he just can't find. I hope that's enough. I hope that I'm just worrying over nothing. Guess I'll trust the core and toss a prayer to the warp, He smiles, but you feel your blood run cold. Thanks for indulging me, I guess. Good night, Rail. He turns away, but you can't help but think of anything to say. Your veins are full of ice. You stiffly stumble back to your door and key it open. You're inside in moments, your heart pounds in your chest, blood pulsing slow and hard in your ears. There's strain in your eyes as you realize that you haven't blinked since Anwill's words.
Stray?
How did he know them?
Stray, are you alright?
How did he know those words?
Rail?
You blink, head snapping up at the sound of your name. What is...
I'm reading a high-stress event in your neural patterns. What's wrong? Do I need to summon the doctor?
You don't know the answer, but the shake of your head comes on instinct. No, I'm fine.
That is a lie. What's wrong?
Your jaw clenches, the words don't want to come out. Just something Anwill said. Those exact words, I've heard them before. The simulant is silent as you lean back against the door. When did it close? Dad said them to me when I was just a cub. He'd say it before every skip race until he... You swallow hard. He almost died that race. Took him weeks to recover properly.
I'm glad that he survived.
You shake your head as you hug yourself tight. I was too, but he never said it again. You grit your teeth. Heat is slowly bleeding back into your veins. Those exact words? How?
I don't know, Stray. I really don't.
You sigh. Of course the simulant wouldn't know. Wait. Oba, you've got access to the internal scanners, right? Enough to emulate your full suite from when you had a shell?
Of course. Why? If you're asking me to read on Anwill's electromagnetic state, I am not meant to.
No, nothing like that. But Class 3 simulants can do that, right? Read electrochemistry? She is silent for a few moments.
Yes. Generation 1 units like me had trouble prioritizing signals, especially those linked to trauma. But if you're thinking that maybe Anwell's a simulant reading your electrochemistry, you can relax. Filtering specific words out of memories like that requires active effort. Time masks the specifics.
Even words you heard all the time, over and over and over again? Once more, she has nothing to say. You shiver against the door.
Do you want me to report this to the captain?
Do you? You almost leap to answer that you do, but then you think about it for a moment. You want to say, what? That Anwill specifically rattled off a phrase that could have come from anyone, but just happened to also be used by your father? That you think that he read your mind to pull those words out? It would sound crazy.
Given your reaction, I believe you believe something is very wrong. I am not assuming anything. Neither would the captain.
You nod. Your heartbeat has started to slow back down again, and you push off the door with a shake of your head. You wouldn't say anything unless I ask you to.
If it helps, I give you my word.
You can't be certain of how much that actually means. Surely Zuberi could override that if he wanted to. But it's still a gesture from the simulant, and it'd be rude to knock it back. Besides, Oba's done nothing but be helpful since you arrived. If you can trust anyone or anything, surely you can trust that. Thank you, Oba. I guess... Don't say anything. Not just yet.
Are you sure? You were a hair from a full-blown panic attack.
No, I'm not sure. But I'd rather be sure before bothering the captain with this. Or looking like a lunatic.
It's your call, Stray. If that's what you want, I'll respect it.
You nod and sigh. You're the best, Oba. You know that?
I do. But it's always nice to hear.
I'll be sure to try and tell you more often.
And I'll hold you to that.
Oh, I bet you will. The ship mind laughs before she clicks away again. Clearly Oba's confident that you're feeling better. You do, but not by too much. Those words, just out of nowhere, were a kick in the chest that you weren't ready for. As you start to strip out of your uniform, you do your best to pull it out of your mind. It's a coincidence. It has to be just a coincidence. Your father heard the phrase somewhere, picked it up the same way that Anwill must have. That's all. He's a pilot who spent enough time in the black, and the phrase has got to be more common than you think. It's fine. It makes perfect sense. That's all. And you're just overreacting. This time, you don't even bother going to the refresher. In the wake of that anxiety spike, you find yourself feeling the lateness of your relative day all the more strongly. You all but collapse on your sleep pad, grunting with the impact. As you roll over, you can't help but stare at the door. Those words, those specific words. They couldn't be a coincidence. He couldn't have known them. You groan and rub both paws over your face. You don't even know what to make of all that. It's insane. As the lights in your quarters dim, you find yourself no closer to sleep. As exhausted as you feel now, you can do little more than stare at the door through the darkness. It takes an hour for your eyelids to actually droop. The words don't stop echoing through your mind the whole time. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So, a couple of things that I kind of picked up on. It kind of seems that Zuberi, although he is willing to continue to have Anwill on the ship and to, I guess, give him leeway to be able to walk around the cabin now, he still doesn't trust Anwill. And I think that might be coming from the fact that when Anwill gave the reconstruction of what happened and the recounting, that he was like, some of these things don't make sense. And I am not completely satisfied with the story that you're giving me and the recreation that you created of the incident. And I can kind of guess that Anwill himself is probably also noting this. And hopefully the readers themselves are also kind of getting that sort of across, regardless of how nice Zuberi is to Anwill. But yeah, and also the weird little suspicious thing where Anwill said something from Rail's past, which is like the phrase of like a prayer to the reactor or whatever. I forgot what it was already. So what if he is a spy simulant? He is supposed to be, and he's designed to be, as realistic and as normal looking as possible. And there's something within his design which makes him sort of give you the answers that you're looking for in order to not be discovered. Because what if he also was giving the answers that Zuberi was expecting or wasn't expecting or something like that? Because he didn't seem so convinced with Anwill's story. And like you can tell, like he's like, that's weird, okay. And then the whole thing with like knowing the whole little saying from Rail's past. So yeah. Like it could be a coincidence, but he doesn't look like a person that would know that. So like yeah. Unless like somebody told it to him recently or something like that, which is like very coincidental. But I'm pretty sure that if asked about it, he's going to have an answer for it. Like, oh, I heard it when I was buying the ship or something, blah, 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 blah. Which is going to be another story, another plausible, something just plausible enough where he can get away with the weird little things that he's doing or saying and the little inconsistencies with his story. Because that, I kind of feel like that continues to be a theme with Anwill, where there's always just enough where it's like, okay, maybe it's plausible, but there is still that lingering doubt of like, but is it? It could just be me that just doesn't trust Anwill. I just don't like him. But anyways, what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Void Dreaming yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download and play the game yourself. If you would like to support the project, consider becoming a Patreon member, which gives you earlier access to the builds of Void Dreaming. So I'm pretty sure by the time that you watch this, either public or when it's scheduled, the new part might already be available on their Patreon. So yeah. Just so you know, the next part, or not the next part, the next video after this one is going to be with Bronca. And while I originally did record the entire scene, and you'll find out what I mean by that, I did have to replace it with something else. So yeah. But just so you know, I mean, if you go to itch.io and then read it yourself, then you'll be able to see that scene that I'm going to be talking about. But yeah. Anyway, so if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. So this is going to go up on the 17th. I was recorded on the 15th, I think. And it's not going to come out until July of like the second to the last week or the last week. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, I also have a Ko-fi in case you want to support through there and you don't want to, or you don't want to or can't support through YouTube. So yeah, any form of support is appreciated. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I also have a throne. So yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.